thought I'd feel this way. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm glad I got the chance to say that I do believe I love you. And if I should ever go away, well, then close your eyes and try to feel the way we do today. And then if you can't remember, keep smiling, keep shining, knowing you can always count on me. For sure, that's what friends are for. In good times, in bad times, I'll be on your side forevermore. Yeah, that's what friends are for.
Okay, Chris, I'm ready.
Ready?
Is there a video on it?
Oh, this is really dark.
I don't think my microphone.
What's the story?
Yeah, really?
We go?
Yeah.
Hello.
Poet and artist interview here at Corridor. This is file number 14.
Hey, start again.
Saturday the
And
7th.
start again. Page you down.
I thought I was down, but now I'm up.
You're up now.
You're out, baby.
I'm
Out.
up in Corridor, upstairs in the bar, for poet and artist interview, file number 14. And it is Saturday the 7th of July 2012, and we're finding ourselves at dusk. Some of us are highlighted more than others. And joining us here is Alex Wisser. He's the artist for today. Alex, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you very much.
You're looking beautiful. You have a halo quality about you. Now, I know that it's been a busy day for you. You've been out doing your own performance art. But you are also a photographer, performer, and poet yourself. So tell us about what it is that you do as an artist.
Well, as an artist, I do have a few hats. I am a photographer. I do video works as well. And every now and again, I'll sort of come up with a performance to do, which is what I was doing today. As a performance I've done now for about a year. This is about the fourth time I've done it. It's an endurance work, which is difficult, so I try not to do it too often. But yeah, so it's a mixed bag, I suppose.
Just let's touch on what you mean by endurance work. Obviously, it's performative. It's engaging out the public sphere.
Yeah.
Tell us about what it is when you mention endurance and what that means.
Well, the funny thing is that in endurance, the word endurance actually has the term duration in it. So it's durational. So it's about the actual time that it takes. It's an unedited video that comes out of it, and it's about time as duration, as lasting through. This one in particular is of me. I hold a brick in a public space for as long as I can, or an hour, because that's as long as the tape is. And basically, the idea behind that work is that I'm a bit of a foil. So I'm just something to create a point of focus around which the social reality of the space begins to is interrupted and reveals itself when it's interrupted. So that if it was just a video of the space and the people sort of flowing through, that's really
intense.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So it's just just a video of the social space that people flowing through. It's a closed view. By placing something that disturbs the normal functioning of the space, people are compelled to stop and to react and to reveal something of themselves. And in my belief, to reveal something of the space, of the place. So I'm doing 4 of these right now. I've done one in Campbelltown. Today I did one in Mossman. I'm going to do one in Blacktown, and I'm going to do one in Redfern. And it's all basically like a portrait. I'm looking at it as a portrait, and I look on myself as almost holding that brick up is an act of holding the aperture open. You know, it's kind of, you know, for me, there is this reflection on what I do when I take a photograph. You know, the fact that you know, it's not just the machine that's doing it, that I'm actually intervening in the reality that I record when I do it. So for me, the performance is actually a performance of that intervention, but by making it really quite obvious, by being a performer, you know, in front of the camera rather than, you know, something behind pretending to hide.
There is, within the framework that you select and that you choose, a kind of thought pattern of challenging those within the frame that you seem to be going for. Some of your photographic works are the absence of those that are in the frame. And then some within which you've been engaging in with your endurance work. Tell us about that sort of, is that something that you're really conscious about pushing forward?
Yeah, I mean, the relationship between the photographs of people's living rooms and this work is that, you know, is I am looking at, I am attempting anyways to look at other people's social decisions. So when somebody chooses to walk past me, you know, and ignore what I'm doing when I'm holding brick, it's obviously some weird thing that's happening on the street. Or when somebody decides to make a craft or does something. It's very similar to the living rooms, which is composed completely of people's, you know, cultural decisions. That's, you know, this is, so I'm kind of looking at, you know, I'm making artwork out of other people's cultural decisions. Or I'm attempting to convert, you know, to convert their cultural behavior into an artwork, to actually treat it like an artwork and give it that respect as well. So there is a lot, for me, it is a lot about the respect for the subject. So, you know, I mean, I've done Campbelltown, and of course you're going to get the worst of Campbelltown, which is pretty redneck, and I've done Lost Ending, which is, you know, the worst of that is going to be very snobbish. But I'm not actually kind of doing this, you know, these works so we can kind of giggle at how, you know, how redneck Campbelltown is or how snobbish Mossman is. It's actually kind of, I just want to look at, you know, the social reality of these places in a kind of way to kind of reserve judgment when I do it. I mean, that's my intention. It's probably not a great way to introduce it.
So it's not a social message per se, but more rather a kind of comment that you frame in a social context of where it is that you are progressing or developing the artwork itself.
Yeah. I mean, it's a strange. It just finds itself in a strange thing because I do think it has its own social message. I don't think you can make an artwork without making a social message. And for me, you know, the living room was it was much more direct what I was doing there. You know, is that I was taking, you know, people's cultural decisions that would otherwise be looked on as being kitsch or being looked down on, and I was actually paying them a certain kind of respect for, and actually, you know, kind of asking myself, well, what are they doing? What is their culture? You know, and instead of judging them in terms of my own culture, kind of just leaving that blank and allowing their culture to present itself, you know, to present itself in its own terms.
Narrative does seem to be important for you in general within your work. You do like to sort of have a voice. Perhaps we can talk a bit about your cultural background and how that sort of interplays within your work.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, well, okay. I don't know that I've thought about that a whole lot. Can you, I don't know.
So obviously you find yourself in Australia and you're not just working with different suburban areas, but you're actually pulling in all of your life experience as social message as you're putting forward, perhaps within these narratives that you're building and constructing as ongoing work. It's not just a project, it's ongoing. So obviously there seems to be something culturally that you've pulled from your life experience.
I mean, you know, you can, I mean, I'm just kind of winging it here, but you can kind of look at it, and for me, there was a real collision between my experience, being raised and enculturated as an American, and then, arriving on these shores and having to kind of come to terms with what the differences were. Because the differences to Americans, of course, are not very obvious, because Americans aren't really well attuned to the differences that define other cultures, but also because Australia is a very soft-spoken, country. So the culture here is quite soft-spoken. You don't declare who you are. You don't state it outright, as you do in the States a lot of the time. And so, I'm speculating here because I haven't really had a good chance to think about it. But it does occur to me that there was this thing where I'm now kind of looking at these people in a new light, and I think in a kind of almost a sense overcompensating for the fact that I'm not Australian. So I'm kind of giving them. There's a little bit of a notion of what I'm doing is quite egalitarian in a way. It's kind of leveling everything and attempting to look at it in this very egalitarian way. And removing the hierarchies of judgment and value judgments, which I would have come to this country with, and which I would have, found it certainly being confounded in terms of the culture that I found here.
We've talked and touched on a little bit about you as artist, but obviously you are also curator and facilitator of art within your space, which is yours and Georgina Pollard's Index. It's rather new, rather fresh, but it's certainly entrenched itself within the inner west and beyond. So let's talk a little bit about you as curator and facilitator and what that means in a contemporary modern society in Sydney.